Hello, and welcome to another edition of All About Berea. I'm Chad Hembry.
And I'm Beth Myers.
And we have a couple special guests joining us in the studio this afternoon, and I'll let you introduce those, Beth.
Okay, we are got the guests today from the Freedom Riders, or you might call them the Freedom Riders Band. We've got the two of the founding members, Joe Anglin and Earl Seals. So we are glad to have you guys here with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I have enjoyed listening to you all my life, and I can't say that about many bands, right? Because you've been together how many years?
46.
Yeah, 45, somewhere in there.
See, you outdate me. So.
It's hard to remember after that long.
Yeah, like I said, I can't say that about many bands. Aerosmith, maybe. Go ahead. But
in Rolling Stones, if you count the years he went solo. But
that's right. That's true. Well, later on in the show, Bob New will be joining us, as well as Jonathan Schinhofen, and we'll get them in later. But right now, we're going to go straight into 4 things you should know.
Thanks, Chad. This is 4 things you should know. Police are still looking into the disappearance of Brooklyn Shane Farthing, a local girl who was last seen on Saturday morning. Brooklyn, who is 18 years old, recently graduated from Madison Southern. She went missing under some strange circumstances. There was a fire at the location where she had last been seen, 113 Dillon Court in Big Hill. The fire was localized within the house and is being investigated in a separate case. Police are not sure what started the fire or if anyone was actually in the home at the time it was burning. The case has been given to the Kentucky State Police, and Trooper Paul Blanton stated that detectives are still conducting interviews. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is requested to contact the Kentucky State Police at 859-623-2404 or 800-222-5555. Berea is once again preparing for a big celebration of the 4th of July, and Parks and Recreation are sponsoring children's games, music, fireworks, and more. There will be face painting, bubbles, a little putt-putt golf, and the climbing wall, and there will also be 2 inflatables for the children to bounce around in. All events are scheduled to start at 5 p.m. at the Berea City Park. This year, the games will all take place on the football field in front of Berea Community School on either side of the main stage. A free swim is scheduled once again at the Berea Pool from 6 to 8 p.m. Freedom Riders, of which we have 2 here in the studio, will be playing at 5 p.m. underneath the football stadium, and Prefab Rehab will play at 8 o'clock. Fireworks are once again planned around 9 p.m. when it gets dark. Parks and Rec personnel report that usually around 1,500 to 2,000 people attend the 4th of July festival. A new director has been hired for the Madison County Animal Shelter. Keith Crawford, who has worked as director for 30-plus years, introduced the new director at the fiscal court meeting on Tuesday, James Lovell. Crawford had actually retired over 2 years ago, but Judge Executive Kent Clark asked him to come back when things became pretty shaky with Crawford's successor. Crawford reluctantly agreed. He was enjoying retirement to work for a while longer to straighten the shelter out and train his replacement. He stated on Tuesday that he wasn't expecting the transition to take quite this long. Lovell told fiscal court that he hoped he could do half as good a job as Keith has for 30 years. Different magistrates expressed their gratitude for Crawford's tenure and hard work at the shelter. And this past Thursday, officers were called to Walmart because employees had discovered drugs in a dressing room. On June 20th, the Walmart employees told police that a woman had left the room, and when they went inside, they found a container with several small balloons and a substance inside of them. Police took the container, and the substance inside field tested positive for heroin. Police were called back to Walmart a short time later in Berea when the employees told them the woman had returned to the store. When she realized that the police had been called, she fled in her vehicle. Officers eventually caught up with her, and when they took her to the station, she admitted that the container was hers. This is Kelly Dillard, 30, of Shotville, Kentucky. She is charged with first-degree trafficking of controlled substance heroin and first-degree possession of controlled substance. As this is something that police have been warning about, heroin is starting to make its appearance more in Berea.
Can you believe that? She left it at Walmart?
Well, and I
thought you were going to say they were stealing something at Walmart, not leaving their drugs.
Well, and then she realized it was missing and came back. That's the part that...
Now, that's the other thing. Would you return to a place that you left drugs?
No, but if you got to have your stuff.
We could probably guess she's not in a great rational mind, but yeah, it is. I mean, definitely it's something, I've been covering this for a couple years. and it's starting to pop up now a lot more often in police reports, is heroin now. And it had been quiet for a long time.
Well, it is a cheap drug. So, I mean, anytime you have a cheap drug, you're going to
and
have a chance.
How would you know about the market value of heroin there?
Oh, I've sit in on a few of these
That's
studies.
True. Yeah, and less dangerous than crystal meth.
Yes,
so.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I hate that it's here, but it definitely is. And I know that was one thing that our former sheriff was really dead set on fighting was the drugs, and we'll miss him for that.
A weak economy might have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Having the money to buy the drugs.
Mm-hmm. So, Chad, were you? Did you know Brooklyn Farthing?
No, I didn't. I was going to say, do you know any more on that?
We're still hearing the same things as of this morning. That still no word, and the police are still investigating. So,
did either of you know her?
No, I didn't know her.
No, I didn't.
I just heard about it today. I guess the day after.
That's a sad story, and
It is.
and it's one of those stories where all over town, everywhere you go into a store or to eat lunch or whatever, somebody's talking about it. Well, have you heard any more? And it's one of those kinds of stories. So it's
there's just a couple of things, and thank goodness for it, that stands out because they don't happen very often in Berea. And
that's a good thing.
Missing child, yes, very good. But for a missing girl, that's or child of 18 and below, that's something that just has never popped up since at least I've been with the newspaper.
Well, we'll keep following it for sure and find out exactly what's going on there. I'm sure eventually something will surface. Now, what was the... I am so glad that we're back at the football stadium. Last year we had to move over to the one of the ball fields for the music. I don't know if you remember that, and to watch.
Well, they were redoing the fields.
Redoing the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's the people on the field. And we've been under the bleachers for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I know. You all got a great spot. It's shaded.
Yeah, we used to play the field many years ago. We played that field for many years, and we always got rained on. Or the sun would be so hot you couldn't stand it. So we got this. It's like a permanent gig now under the.
I think it's great.
They built a big nice shelter over a tractor and trailer rig, 2 flat beds. We were playing 4 or 5 years ago, and it came a windstorm and blowed it down on top of us.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
as soon as we got it put up.
As soon as we got it up.
I was disappointed that they're not having the laser tag, though. They had it like 2 years ago, and my sons are pretty crazy about it. They had hay bales set up where the kids were running around, hiding behind and doing this whole thing. So
They used to have the greased pig, and that didn't. Somebody.
I don't think I've ever known the grease.
Some group.
Yeah, they used to have the
Animal
greased pig.
cruelty.
I chased that thing all my life growing up. Yes. And the egg toss.
Yeah.
And a few of those.
I have missed out. When did all this stuff go away?
Well, they still did the
the
egg
modern
toss.
world.
Okay. Well, they didn't do it last year, but they did it just 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago, and I think some animal rights group got after them, and they stopped.
What, for the egg toss too?
No, the pigs.
yeah, that's right.
There's a chicken crying her
chicken
eyes
abortions.
out over there.
Well, they might have complained about that too.
Give her back her
They
egg.
really started playing for the fireworks back in, I guess, the early 70s.
I remember.
Yeah, long time ago.
all
Early
along.
70s.
Yeah.
And
They had us on the field one year on a flatbed with dresses. We smoking cigars and had, I don't know why, Beulah Phelps had brought that up for some
that
reason.
was
I
the
don't know
American
why.
Legion wanted us to do that, and Beulah put it together, and
So you guys are actually wearing the dresses, or the dresses were in the
she
trailers?
wanted the band.
No, we had them on.
We had them on. She wanted the band.
I bet you guys were so
wearing
cute.
Well, Beulah said I had the prettiest legs of any man in Madison County.
And you have never forgotten that.
No.
That's more information than we needed to know.
Well, it probably is. But
Hey, man, 45 years, you gather up a lot of stories.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Well, anyway, we'll go ahead and go into the interview then, and let them talk a little bit about the band and what's going on and what's happened
as
with them
I've
retiring and getting back together.
the rumor that they're broken up was, evidently too highly exaggerated. But evidently you guys did kind of decide to lay it down. What was it, about a month and a half ago? And
Probably.
and that just didn't work.
No, it was maybe 2 months ago or something. And we actually quit for, what, a month, Joe?
About a month.
And we got to talking, and it just wasn't right. You know, you do something that long, it's part of your life. And to just quit, it was, we thought, no. They say, we'll keep doing it till we have to quit.
Till we fall off the stool.
Yeah, till enough people
You fall off the stool. That's it.
Yeah, but no, we can't see quitting. No.
Well, and that's the thing I think so much of bands and music starting out young, so much is tied up into the kind of cool, hip, young thing. And so it's like, okay, once I get older, I can't do this anymore. So I'm glad you guys didn't fall prey to that. Feeling that you shouldn't be on stage as you got older.
No, we've pretty much made a fool of ourselves all of our life. So right now, it don't matter. We still do it, and as long as people accept us, we'll keep doing it. It's just a hobby, anyhow. You know,
Well, and it's always been a hobby, right? Was there ever a time that any of you actually thought about trying to go bigger?
Not really. I can't think of any of us even.
No.
These are working gentlemen. They always had something.
That's right. They got the day jobs.
They always had
We all kept a day job, and I believe that would have killed it if we'd have had somebody that wanted to be a star, because none of us have been a star. We've just been a band, and we're all equal, and nobody tries to be more star than anybody else. So that would have killed it, probably. I think that's what probably kills a lot of bands.
Yeah, it is.
Well, yeah, I'd say ego is probably the number one reason.
Us retiring actually has fired the group back up now that we get together and practice now.
Yeah, we want to learn some new songs.
We want to learn new stuff now and go on.
So, Earl, I remember when I talked to you guys last time, you've always been wanting these boys to actually write a song. Do you think you might get them to do that now?
Well, I'd like to. If they'll do it, we will. I mean, like I say, 7 of us, I think there's 7 of us now, right? So if we can't write a song with 7 people, there's something wrong. We're not trying. Just put a line on the table and everybody start adding to it, and we should have a song after a while. I hope.
After all, it's just all words make up.
Yeah,
with it.
Put a few words together, and songs, the kind of songs people are doing now, not too hard.
Well, tell us who all's with the band now besides the 2 of you. See, it'd be the other 5.
See. The next oldest member would be Donnie Chastain. He's been with us since about 74, I guess.
Probably.
Somewhere around there. He's one carries the country part of the band, too, really, isn't he, Earl?
Yeah.
Donnie's a real good country singer, and he does all the country ballads and stuff like that for us. Me and Earl is almost stuck totally to 50s and 60s rock and roll the whole time, almost.
Yeah, that's what we grew up with, and that's
what we grew up with.
Kind of what we stick with.
And then see Joey on lead guitar, Earl's son. He came in the 70s when he was really young, and then he stepped out and was gone a few years, and now he's back. And he's been back, 3 or 4 years, hasn't he?
Something like that. 2 or 3.
And
so this is Joey. This is your son, right, Earl? Mm-hmm.
And then the next member has been in there for the long, be Doug Thomas. He's been with us since about 20 years. That's how long he's been there. He came in '93 when we built the music barn, which was Cruising Country, and we were the house band there for 7 years, I think. And but over the years, we played a lot of different places. And like we said before, we could have went to Nashville, and if we had made it as a star, we wouldn't have had as much fun as we've had doing it, what we are used to doing by ourselves. I mean, it's just something that's in us, and we really had a good run with it.
Now, Cruising Country, when was it open? What years?
I built that in '93, and we opened it from '93, and we closed in 2000. It was open 7 years.
Yeah, I remember taking Letha there when we were dating, so that's why I was trying to.
That was really that was really a good thing.
Yeah, we'll be married 19 years this year, so we were still
really
dating.
A successful move doing that, because we kept a lot of kids off the road and off drugs and a lot of things they were been doing, because it was non-alcoholic, and we really enforced it, and it was nice, and it was something we'll probably never see our county have again like that.
So you had that was country music. You guys would have played in that venue,
We
right?
played country and mix of rock
so
and
they mixed it
roll,
up. I
and
remember.
Okay.
we had
I only
line
went once, and I remember there was some line dancing.
we
so-
had line dance classes, and the dance floor would hold 250 people, and it was 3 sections. You could freestyle, line dance, or two-step all at the same time, and nobody be in each other's way. So it worked really great.
Why'd you end up closing that down then in 2000?
Well, I was working 80 and 90 hours a week, because
Oh, and you didn't like that?
body shop and car lot, and work there all day, and then go over there 5
Right.
nights a week usually.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take care of that, and another thing.
So you're basically working 2 full-time jobs
the
doing that,
Marine,
right?
Kaler's Marine wanted to buy it, and he kept asking, and the price finally got high enough. I thought, well, this is the time.
If you gotta go, you might as well go with some change in your pocket, right?
So
Yeah, I gotcha.
it was really a real good thing for us.
Well, now, you didn't get to the young council member,
Okay,
Billy
we got,
That's
what,
right. He's the youngest one on council now, isn't he?
Bill Wagers,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's you, Chad.
formerly Berea Drug, and he's on city council. He's been playing drums with us since 2000 when we left the cruising country. Why, I asked Bill to play drums with us, and he's been with us ever since. And before that, he played at Renfro Valley in the house band down there, probably 10 years or so. And if we forgot anybody,
Yeah, JT.
JT
Gilbert.
he's the newest.
He wants to be a blues man. We call him Tyrone. James Tyrone Gilbert.
So is the T a secret on what that actually stands for?
Yeah, I really don't know what it does stand for, but I gave him Tyrone. That fit pretty good.
Because if he's going to be a blues man, he needs
blues
to name
man,
him.
right? He needs a blues name.
And I seem to remember a certain outfit that, let's embarrass him on radio here, JT Gilbert put on for his bluesman outfit. Wasn't there?
He's got about a foot-long ponytail on the back of his hat, and he had the colors matched where it looks like he's real. Yeah, he's sharp. You're gonna have to come back. He told me he'd wear it 4th of July.
That's great.
Well, I'd like him to wear it from the council meeting as well.
Well,
I'm thinking.
you might talk him into that.
He's retiring, so he can pull a lot of stunts right now. He doesn't have anything.
Right. He can get away with
It
it.
is kind of funny thinking of some of these young fellas playing together, and now all of you guys have gotten respectable. Here with Doug being the jailer and Billy Wagers on council and JT Gilbert being the city attorney. And
I'll fix your car if you wreck it on the way.
we got a city employee, and we got
It's been fun. We've had a good time, and we still have a good time, and we intend to keep on if we can.
Now you practice on Wednesday nights, right?
Usually, yeah. You need to come down and check us out.
I do. I want to
I
do
get
that.
some recordings of that. Yeah, I tried to convince them to bring their instruments in, but they didn't think the bass and the piano
Well, I
would
told
be
you
too
that
easy
before
to
when you
put
told me
through
he
the
was coming, and I said, "Well, I don't think you'll want to bring a bass cab in."
Like, come on, can't you fake it on an acoustic?
I can.
You guys will do something a cappella for us, right?
I got it covered on the keyboards, but I don't.
So, who else is your vocals besides Donnie does the country? Who does the...
Okay, Earl's lead singer on the old 50s and 60s, and Donnie's lead singer on the country, and Doug, he does both really in some modern country, and then Joey and I, we sing backup, and JT does 3 or 4 of the old blues type songs.
Yeah, actually, Wagers is the only one that don't sing at all.
Right.
Okay.
We try now. He can, but we can't get him to do it. He keeps saying, "Yeah, I will," but he don't. But now he can. I've heard him sing. He can.
Yeah. He'd rather just stay back in the drums.
I guess. Yeah.
And
I've had a lot of people ask us over the years, how have you all stayed together all this time for this long a time? And really, I believe Earl will agree with this. The secret to our success as band members has been that If anything is wrong, we have a meeting and it's in the open and we fix it right then.
We try to
Never
fix it.
no arguing amongst the band members. We agree on everything. And if one person doesn't agree to do a job, we don't do it. I mean, it's
That's right.
That's the way we operate.
And we don't, a lot of people might say, we don't drink, we don't drug, and that helps you a lot, because that will get you in trouble.
Eventually
It's going to catch
Well, and you
up.
probably wouldn't be singing too well by this time if you'd done too much of that too, ruin your voice.
Not that we're such good people. It's like, it's a job. You go to a job, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
Do it sober.
Okay, well, give us contact. How can somebody get up with you if they want you to come play their wedding or something? What can they?
Joe's probably the best contact. He has been over the years.
The easiest way to get me is from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, at my business, Anglin's Body Shop. And the number's 859-986-2492. And you can call me on my home phone, which is 859-986-2147. And you'll get me at one or two of the places, and there's an answering machine, so...
And if you don't remember those numbers, you can find Anglin Body Shop in the phone book or
will be
online. Either one,
Right,
it'll be listed
right.
there too.
If
So.
you can't get him, call City Hall and
Say, where's Earl?
ask for Earl. They'll run me down somewhere.
Well, that seems about as accessible as anybody can be.
There you go.
That's right. And I guess there's 2 standing gigs you guys have at the city, and that's the 4th of July and then the Spoonbread Festival you guys always
Right.
play at too, right?
We enjoy them at Spoonbread. That's good.
Yeah, we had a good time last year.
We had a real good show last year. I give the sound man and the equipment he used a big thumbs up. He did a good job running sound for
Gator.
us. Yes.
Gator does a fantastic
He does a
job.
real
I don't
good
mind plugging
job.
him anytime.
Yes,
He's a great
he's from
guy.
Winchester.
Not only is he a good sound guy, he's just a good guy all the way around.
He's just a nice person.
He sleeps on that stage and basically provides us free security down there. And not only watching his stuff, but he'll, if he sees anything anywhere in the park, he's calling the police or checking it out. So he's done that for several years
a
now.
sound person is one of the most important people you have when you play music. They can make you or break you.
And he doesn't have any kind of a chip on his shoulder. If you way you want it, it's the way you're going to get it, and he doesn't care. He'll make you sound good if you let him, or if you want to argue with him, he won't argue. He'll just do what you want.
Right.
He's fair with each group. He tries to make each group sound good.
That's great. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the band before we take a break?
I believe that's...
Yeah, that's probably it.
We'd like to have all of our fans show up at the fireworks and Spoonbread, and
some people that would like to be fans.
we would hope that
You'll
Everybody-
always take the new fans as well.
We'll take them all.
anybody that wants to come up and say hello when we're there, why, come right on up, and we'll be glad to talk to them or answer any questions or anything they like.
And is your granddaughter going to be singing then?
She's going to do 2 or 3 songs with us this year.
Okay, and how old is she?
17.
Okay.
And she's doing real good.
Got some new talent coming up here.
That's one other thing me and Earl's kind of proud of. My grandson is playing drums and bass with us some now, and his granddaughter's starting to do some singing, and we're hoping that we can get them a young group together as time
we'll
goes
get a couple
on
more
and-
people. We're
and
gonna try
carry
to-
this. We're going to try to help them carry
That's
on
really
the
good.
tradition.
That's good.
Freedom Riders, the sequel.
There you go.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I
Well,
appreciate
thank you
y'all
for having
coming
us.
in.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to All About Berea. We'll be back after these messages. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to All About Berea. Our 2 guests have left us, but they didn't leave us before setting us up with a couple more jokes. There are some funny guys.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that very much. But sliding back in the studio now is Mr. Jonathan Shinhofen. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Replaced Jonah Earl.
Thanks for
with
having me.
Jonathan.
Thank you for giving your seat up.
Yeah.
Things get a little tight in here for us every once in a while.
We prefer to think of it as cozy.
Okay, cozy. I can take cozy.
We all sure know what each other smells like, so.
Well, I need to apologize to you, Jonathan, because last week you had a little thing you had prepared. We call them rants, brags, whatever, where we all take turns around here. And we didn't get to it because we went long on the show. So I am giving you the stage now.
All right.
We are
Rant
all
away.
ears.
All right. Well, I want to talk about health insurance here. I am...
I'm already depressed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, in the last month or so, I applied for health insurance twice and was rejected both times. Not pay astronomical sums of money and we'll give you insurance, but just plain no. And so they referred me to KentuckyAccess.com, which is a state program that they set up for people who get rejected for insurance. And I'm 44 years old, reasonably healthy, but I have 2 pre-existing conditions. And so on the basis of that, pretty much I was denied insurance. So,
And we should add that this isn't like a kidney problem where you're going to have a transplant. I mean,
right,
it's not even a hugely expensive pre-existing condition.
Actually, for years I've simply been paying for all my medications out of pocket. Nothing I take is expensive. I have 4 to 6 doctor visits a year. So it's really my history has been not one of incredible medical bills, but mostly what I want to do is protect my family. And if I get hit by a car, I don't want to lose the house and, whatever life savings we have. So, I think the responsible thing to do is to try to purchase insurance. So I went to KentuckyAccess.com, and you are pretty much guaranteed to be accepted if you've met certain requirements, one of which is being rejected for insurance by another insurance company. And I looked at the premiums, and the cheapest I could get was $387.43 a month. Now that's not a lot for some people. If you have an employer-sponsored insurance plan, between you and your employer, you probably pay that much. But I started looking at this and thinking, okay, what if I were a minimum wage worker? What if I was a good, honest, hardworking American doing the best I can, working 40 hours a week, or in order to not get benefits, I'd be working 37.5 is usually how they do it, and paying $387.43 a month. Well, that comes out to $6,348. Oops, sorry, $4,644 a year, or, drumroll, 32% of that person's income, just for health insurance with a $1,500 deductible. So, how is that person supposed to afford health insurance? It gets better for women. That number I pulled out earlier was $63.48. They pay $529 a month. That's 44% of their income, if that's the only insurance they can get. And for couples with kids, it would be a little better, because a couple with 2 kids making less than $41,000 or thereabouts will qualify for Medicaid for their kids, but not for the hardworking, 80 hours a week between them. And so for the couple that is right at the income, it's approximately an $11.50 hour, $1 an hour job. For that couple, if they can't get Medicaid, to jump on this insurance policy, it would take 34% of their income. Now, these incomes are gross. That's not take home. You don't get a tax deduction for that of any kind. And, there's the unaffordability of health insurance has been rationalized to some extent, or to a large extent, by people saying, oh, well, they can just go to the emergency room and, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't just go to the emergency room. They will bill you, and they will send your bill to a collection agency. And the collection agency does have the potential to ruin your credit. So my point here being mostly is that the system's broken, undeniably, and the Affordable Care Act is an attempt, the first serious attempt in my lifetime that I know of, to try to fix some things about it. This is actually the second time in my life I've been uninsured. I tore up my knee while I was working 2 jobs. One of them was full-time with benefits. The insurance hadn't kicked in yet. And washing cars at a car wash for minimum wage in 1991. Then I would go at night and go deliver pizzas for minimum wage. And I was just trying to have a little fun. I tore up my knee in a soccer game. Couldn't do anything. I limped around, and it was a really horrible experience. Having torn cartilage and only being able to bend my knee, less than 90 degrees. It's really hard to get in and out of cars. There you go. Hardworking, full-time worker. I even had benefits. There was some, insurance loophole. So anyway, that's my rant. Something's broken. Some people are trying to fix it. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Come October 1st, Kentucky will have the part of the Affordable Care Act in motion, where you can register to start to be covered on January 1st, 2014. And the end of my story is I did find an insurance policy that I could afford, but it explicitly states that nothing is covered if I've sought medical attention for it in the last 5 years. So basically, it's an insurance company that is saving my family if I get run over by a car, or I break my leg, or something like that. But I can't get continuing coverage for my minor health problems.
We call those accident policies. They're set up as health insurance, but basically it's for an accident, right?
Yeah, or a medical cost payment plan, or
Well, and the other thing I was thinking about with the emergency room is that doesn't even begin to cover ongoing issues. I mean, those are just crises where you go in and get fixed. But if you've got something that's a continual problem, the ER is not the place to go. I mean, that's when the Berea Health Ministry couldn't keep its doors open. What was that, about a year ago? I remember interviewing people in there, and that was where they would go. That's where they would get these chronic problems that they had to ignore for years. And it's endless.
Right.
The stories you hear,
Well, I understand what you're going through there. I really do. I was self-employed for many years.
Oh, that yeah, and that's a whole ball of wax there too. That's something the Affordable Care Act is going to try to address, is to give tax deductions for the insurance you buy as a self-employed business person.
At this country, we've gotten really conservative about any kind of leaps of faith. We really don't like to take a chance on any kind of new legislation. It's really interesting. It's so difficult to get anything different passed now. when I look at what they did in earlier decades, the thing that they passed, of course, it was usually when the country was in such crisis. I guess nobody could kick up much of a fuss like during the Depression, but it's amazing the stagnation that everything just kind of gets ground into the mud.
I guess my whole thing with Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, you might see people on both sides that are very polar locked, in the debate. But the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle is where we need to be. And there are parts of it that I don't think you'll find a single American who says that doesn't need to be fixed. That is a problem. We've got to fix that,
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Ron Paul apparently thinks that pretty much nothing needs to be fixed.
Well, okay. I guess there are some extremes out there. That something needs to be fixed. But then
it's always the healthy people that say that. Have you noticed that? Or it's never like the person in the wheelchair who says, you know what? Nobody needs to take care of me. I can do it myself. It's always like the people who have all their limbs and their brains in good shape.
Or the people who have a good group health insurance policy. Right. Granted, costs are going to go up for some people under the Affordable Care Act. The question is, are we doing a good thing?
And I'd say that's where I'm going to come at. My problem with it is I know lots of small business people right here in this town who are scared to death that this is going to break them, that they'll have to lay off an employee, or that there's just elements to it that the money's not there.
They're scared to death, but has it happened? Because there's a lot buried in the legislation with tax breaks to offset. The fact is we don't know. We don't know.
That's exactly right. It's the unknown that scares them more than anything. Right? Yeah.
And that's nothing new. I mean, about anything. I think I live in a more uncertain time right now than I ever have before in this country. Just as far as the economy, I mean, everything's been legislation changes quickly as far as when we're looking at different state law and that kind of thing. I mean, it's just not a lot of constancy right now.
And I'll open this up. If there's anyone out there listening to the show that owns a small business that wants to come in here and talk about their side of it intelligently, we'll invite you in to come in and talk about it.
Meaning you can't just come in and yell at Jonathan.
Yeah, you can't just come in and yell your opinions and be, set on one side.
You have to be nice to us.
Yeah, you have to explain. Well, I'll probably be on their side anyway. So but you'll have to explain us, that you've actually read into it, and that you can clarify for us what your major concerns are, because I'm sure there are lots of people out there who'd like to hear that.
Absolutely.
So I'll open that invitation. You can contact us, but you can either call the newspaper and ask for Beth, or you can call. Look me up in the phone book or Facebook or anywhere else. You'll find us. So I'm easy to find. Anyway, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No. I'm feeling better now.
Gotta load off the chest. Feeling a little free there.
Maybe I can get an insurance break for that.
Yeah, if any insurance company out there wants Jonathan as their spokesperson now, All right, let's get back to the four things. Bob isn't here today, and we're going to talk about political stuff, but let's go back to the four things here. First of all, the missing person, Brooke. Mm-hmm. The way the whole thing has played out with the small town gossip tree has absolutely mind-boggled me, because it has exploded. I heard at least 6 different versions of the story today.
Well, I know pretty much everyone who's coming into the newspaper office would come to me for various reasons, to put it in a marriage announcement, to talk to me about a story. And one of the first things they'd ask is, have you heard anything about that missing girl? And of course, the TV coverage was pretty intense. So people were hearing a lot about it. But yeah, I also think there's something about that, that I guess because it's this ongoing anxiety, it's every parent's fear. Some perverse curiosity. But yeah, it has been the topic of discussion this week.
And let's clarify, Big Hill, the Dillon Court is not in city limits.
I believe you're right.
Yes. So,
yes.
Somebody was asking.
It was actually the Madison County Sheriff's Department that started the investigation because of that reason. And of course, for all of you who know this area, it's not that far. My publisher, Teresa Centers, actually was woken up. She's on Big Hill Road with the sirens that morning because of the fire. But from what I understand, it's been hard to get a grasp of where she actually was living. So it was kind of unclear details as far as if she was just staying at that place for that night, or, was it that she was visiting? Was it that she was there? I mean, it was kind of hard to pinpoint her to a specific location and what this particular fire was with her, but evidently she had been seen there that morning.
Do we know?
And
who
her
called the
suitcase
fire
was
in?
there because her mother found her suitcase at that location,
So
and
this-
her cell phone charger, which is partly why a lot of people are saying that they don't think she ran away, because if she ran away, wouldn't have she taken her cell phone charger and her suitcase of clothes? So.
Who called the fire in? Do you know?
I do not. This was really remarkably hard to get details on. And I'm not sure if that's because the police just didn't want to release anything with such a, hot investigation, or if there was just a lot of unknowns. So I'm not certain what how the fire got the alarm set for the fire department to come out and take care of it.
And I'm wondering, is Dillon Court in that zone, that extended zone where the Berea Fire Department goes to? I haven't checked on that. Was it the Berea Fire Department that responded? Did it say?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't make that call. I'm not sure if it was my guess would be yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing
because
it
I'm
is
fairly
too.
certain they would have been the closest. And of course, yeah, as you know, they would have been secondary even if they hadn't been primary, probably. But I think in this case, yeah, they would have been.
So you got this. This is one thing I like about Madison County is we have really good
The best I've seen.
cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the Richmond was kind of late coming on board with some of that, but now they're joining the game. I think the new mayor has been helpful with that. But yeah, 911, all the emergency services, really.
Have you ever had a privilege of interviewing Jim Barnes?
I have not. Have you?
He is very nice man. Yeah.
Yeah, I've spoken to him.
Very courteous,
And,
very professional when he speaks to you. Yeah.
Well, and they're having these 3 governmental meetings now. I'm not sure if you've attended many of those yet, Chad, or
No, I haven't.
in other hats, guises. And, I think a lot of people would say, oh, well, not much practical has gotten done. But I think just the very fact that they're getting together periodically to discuss the concerns of the county. I am not one who wants this to ever be under one county. I think that Madison County, City of Berea, and City of Richmond are 3 very different places. And to me, this is the ideal, is to have 3 different governments who collaborate very well together.
I don't mind that there's a little overlap. I don't consider that waste. I consider that being thorough. What I don't want to see is our services that they are battling for territory all the time. I think that is a good
that's where you're really going to waste.
Yeah, that's
you're
right,
wasting resources. You're wasting money because people are busy. Marking it off.
But see, my computer.
That's unlikely since they're closing fire stations. I know one closed in Richmond last year, and so in terms of services, I'm not sure they're going to have to battle over turf.
Yeah, I know that Judge Clark just came to Berea last week, and they're renewing the cooperation of the fire department of Berea covering the southern part of the county, and that's good. That's good cooperation. It's good for the citizens down here.
Now, I will say at this last fiscal court meeting on Tuesday that I covered, they had come to get permission to do a contract negotiations because, of course, 911, there's been this whole process of updating their equipment. This is very old, very out of date, and of course, the last thing you need with this kind of service is for it not to be up and going. So they're coming to get permission of the fiscal court to continue with these contract negotiations. And Judge Clark said at that time that there's some concern. The county handles the finances for 911. They do the insurance for 911, and that there might be some concern with Madison County being too much the decision maker in regards of that, and how there was probably a need to put more decisions on the 911 board, which I think has equal representation from all three governments. So I found that interesting. Evidently, there's been, still a little massaging having to go on with how these three are handling the 911. And I know at least for the city of Berea, there's some concern with this huge new building they're putting up, and they're housing 911 with CSEP. And it's like, okay, what's going to happen when the CSEP money's gone? Who's going to maintain
this big building?
And the city of Berea is like, as definitely the government who's probably got the least amount of revenue of the three, they're kind of a little concerned about that.
I can understand, and that the whole 911 thing throws me for a loop. And we need to get the chief in here and get his opinion on it sometime. I know that he would talk to us about it. Let's talk about Berea police chief and Gregory. I do know his name. I'm just
yeah. I was saying Roy Curtis would be great too, the fire chief, but he's a very quiet man, so we'd have to really pull it out of him.
I arrived at the council meeting room. What do we call it now? The council chamber.
Community room.
Thank you. Yeah, the council chamber. Early. Okay, so it's all locked up. I had some paperwork I wanted to do, some typing I needed to get done, and I would like to go on in and sit in my comfortable chair and get it done before everybody arrives. So I walk in the back of the police department there, and of course there's no one there, and I know they're downstairs. Now what I messed up is I should have just went downstairs and knocked, I guess, but there's a button there, a phone. You pick up the phone and it connects you. Well, it connects you to 911, all right? So it's connecting you to, what's your emergency? It's like, I don't have an emergency.
I'm locked out of council chambers and I wanted to do some typing.
I'm at the police department. I want into the building so that I can get into the council chamber and sit and do some work for a little while. Oh, okay, just a moment. We'll have an officer to you. I hang up. I sit down and I wait. Here comes an officer flying around the back of the building into the door. What have you got a complaint? What's the problem? It's like, there's no problem.
No, sorry.
Now, I don't blame the officer, right? He's only responding to what he was told.
Well, and much better than the alternative, which would be ignoring something that could potentially be an emergency.
But he pulled up in his cruiser, by the way. Okay?
Right.
So he had to drive from somewhere to let me in to the building. And that seemed so inefficient to me. And I felt like I just caused this big disturbance, and I didn't want to. All I wanted to do was get.
Well, they are the backup for the police dispatch.
I had a similar experience, just like that. I was driving back from dropping the kids off at Berea Community School, and I saw a bike, sort of near the tennis courts. It looked like it had been chucked over the hill, and that's well known that certain people will steal bikes and sort of abandon them there. So I just went to say, hey, there might be a stolen bike down here. But yeah, I went through that whole routine, and it's a little disconcerting when you just want to call the police station and it says 911, what's your emergency?
Do you have a business line?
That's right.
The non-emergency 911 line.
It's a little bit intimidating, when you're like, no, I don't have an emergency.
I didn't mean to call this line, I promise.
This phone was just hanging here on the wall. So anyway, that is something I want to talk to somebody else about, but I think it's a funny story that.
Well, and Wendy would be a good one, too. She's actually the director of the 911 for the county.
Yes.
So we could get her in here.
That would be a great guest to have. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're running up on our hour, so I'm actually just going to have you going into this week's events.
Okay, let's see what we've got to do this week. And again, these are the calendar. I usually try to do a Friday to Friday calendar. So this Saturday, Puppets and Such are going to be performing, and if Chad wants to give us a little tune for this. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out
Oh, no,
at their location in Old Town.
Once was enough for that.
That's just a solo job. Okay, the show will take place at 2:30 p.m. and they are still located in Old Town. There will also be an Ingram family reunion at Bushy Fork on Sunday for anybody of that family who would like to get in touch. The National Alliance of Mentally Ill will hold their regular monthly meeting on Tuesday. That'll be July 2nd at the St. Joseph Berea in the boardroom. They're going to have a presentation by somebody from the Alzheimer's Association to talk about the signs of the disease. That meeting will take place from 5 to 6:30 p.m. This is still a fledgling group in their first year, but they've been getting some good speakers in. The library is going to have Sweet Honey and the Bee concert on Tuesday as well at 10:30 a.m. Katie Gardner and Steve Johnson will be presenting their concert, making music for preschoolers. The library will also have a tablet computer showcase at 6:30 p.m. for people who want to come and play with the latest technology. This is an open event, and there will be the technology instructor there to answer any questions.
Now, see, I'm going to go and I'm going to protest if they do not have a Windows tablet represented.
And I was, are you attached to Windows
tablets? I'm going to take my sign and march out front. If there's only a bunch of Apple fanboys there and a couple of Androids, I'll be.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just got to figure out where your line is drawn, Chad. And by God, it's going to be drawn here. This is going no more anti-migrant.
I admire a man with principles.
That's right.
Yeah, he's not going to let Apple boys push him around.
That's right. No fanboys.
Yeah, and for all those geek wannabes who want to go and check out the tablets.
Cool. No, go check out the tablets. They're actually doing a very cool thing. And I am very fond of the Windows tablets. So if you happen to migrate that way, I support you 100%.
And it's been kind of fun watching the council members as they're like playing with their new
those little
tablets.
Nexus. Now those are Android based, and they're very nice as well. I've got Letha hooked on her Android based tablet now. That's what she uses.
Billy Wagers
90% of the time.
Who was he beside? I can't remember now. Maybe it's JT or somebody else. But they're looking at cat pictures on there, so they were chuckling as they watched it.
We're going to wrap up this week's show. You're listening to All About Berea. Our Spain sponsors are, of course, the Berea Citizen. Check it out each week where you can get the latest news in Berea, and also check us out on BereaOnline.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to send us any thoughts, information, or suggestions, we'd love to get that from you. You can contact us by calling the Berea Citizen office or visit BereaOnline.com and shoot us an electronic message. Once again, I'm Chad Hembry with Beth Myers and Jonathan Shinhofen. Join us next week for more Berea news.